Good morning and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm IceMan, and today we are doing one of my favourite champions to boot to date so far. You know, absolutely amazing champion, the one, the only, death from above, Iron Brago himself. Please give a big cheer for this man. Here we have him, fully ascended, fully leveled up, not fully booked I don't think, but you know, we're going to do what we can here. So this guy was the last fusion, obviously. At the time of filming this, we're now currently working on the next fusion. This guy, I've taken a few weeks to before doing a guide on him, because I had other projects I wanted to do, other champions I wanted to do guides on, purely because they were new to the game and not so many people were doing guides on them. So I wanted to sort of help the community out and get some guides out on these champs. And they were really good champs and fun to play as well anyway. This guy, I've been building him up alongside those, been play testing him a bit. Absolutely amazing character. I absolutely love this champion. If you didn't fuse him, I'm sorry, but you really missed out, and you should really hope to pull this guy, because he is a beast. I'm going to say that right at the start. This guy is a beast, an absolute beast. As you're going to see. So anyway, let's just dive into it. Let's have a look at his kit, shall we? So we've got an A1 Molten Pummeling. I mean, just look at the names even. Well, actually, you know what? Before we do the gear, let's just take one moment to have a look at the aesthetic of this guy. He looks absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this. He's got this cool little, I don't know, pin badge thingy on his back. They like strapping skulls to people a lot lately. So he's got a few skulls strapped to him. He's got like this really cool armor on his arms and stuff. He's got these massive molten mallets for, you know, he's got a beard made of chains, for crying out loud. I don't think I'd even really recognise the fact that that's what it... it's not a beard, I suppose. It's actually a headpiece, like armour piece coming down like chainmail, but literally made of full-on big chunky chains instead of mail like you'd normally see on a warrior. So this guy is big, strong. He's lifting some heavy armor here. It looks really cool, really awesome. Something slightly more ogrean rather than oakish about him. Orcish. He's not a tree, you know. Orcish about him, but yeah, absolutely brilliant look to the guy. So as usual, Plarium knocked it out of the park. They do great artwork with their champions, and to be fair, it's my favourite part of this game. I keep looking at other games thinking, you know, it's not that I don't enjoy Raid anymore and don't want to play Raid anymore. It's just that I maybe want to diversify out a bit and find something else that I enjoy playing as well, to sort of keep me interested and, you know, just chomp down on and find something new to enjoy a little bit. And the only problem is, any game I try, if the graphics are good, they're not available on things like Plarium Play and... not Plarium Play on BlueStacks, and you can't do them on the computer, therefore it's going to be harder to film them and all that, or the mechanics aren't still quite there even though the graphics are beautiful, or you know, you've got other games that are very similar to this where the graphics are just crap, absolutely terrible, and they look horrible, and I can't play them. After playing Raid, going to something where the graphics just look naff just doesn't work. So, which is why I'm still playing the game, why I love the game so much, to be fair. So anyway, that little sort of side bit aside, let's take a look at this ability. So we've got Molten Pummeling, attacks one enemy and has a 20% chance, 30 when booked, of decreasing the duration of all buffs by one turn. That's huge. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, you can just completely knock buffs off the champs, and I do love abilities like this. It helps you get through those unkillables when you've got one champion stood there who's unkillable. I'm sure some of you have done a team at some point or another where you've got a load of turn meter reduction, and if you haven't got somebody like this on the team, that unkillable champ will literally stay there for the next day and a half until, or forever for all we know, unless you cancel out the fight, because your turn meter people keep reducing his turn so he doesn't take his turn, and then the unkillable doesn't drop off if you haven't got anybody to steal it, so it's non-ending. I once left the fight going, hadn't realised that was the situation, came back 3 hours later and it was still going, and it was like, oh my god. So yeah, if you haven't been there, look forward to it. It's an interesting little scenario that you come across at some point in this game. This lovely ability puts a stop to that. sooner or later he's going to hit the guy and remove the ability. So it's only 30% chance, but it's on an A1, so you don't expect too high a chance. But it's still high enough to proc occasionally and save your bum in situations like that, quite frankly. His A2 Fearless Charge places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks one enemy. Has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Has a 75% place of placing a stun debuff for 2 turns instead if the target is under 2 or more buffs. This is actually bookable up to 100% chance to place that stun. You can bring the cooldown down from 4 to 3 turns. Actually, you know what? I might have fully booked this guy out. I think I did. I just chucked all my books at him. He's that good, and he is worth it. I don't know that he necessarily needs them all. He is still going to be totally valuable to you and totally worth it without all the books. But obviously, he is going to get more benefit and be even better with the books. That's a fact. And he is such a great champion that I had no issues, no qualms, no second thoughts about just throwing all the books at him, because he is brilliant. So anyway, yeah, back to this. So you've got 100% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. If they're under 2 or more debuffs, you can actually get the stun debuff to go for 2 turns instead of the 1 turn, which is great. He puts it increase defense across your whole team. This ability hits like a truck, by the way. I mean, this guy in general, if you build him right, just hits like a truck. He is absolutely amazing for that. Then we've got his A3, attacks all enemies. Battle Storm, let's call it what it is first, and it is a hell of a storm. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. This 50% can be increased up to 75. It's not 100% provoke, but you're not going to use him as a provoke champion, to be fair. You're not going to say this is what he does. If you want that, I'd say use somebody like Umbral, but it's a nice addition to his kit that can help you in situations if he's on the team as a backup provoker. It's not what I would use as a primary provoke with it not being 100. Again, this is on a 4-turn cooldown, which again is eminently usable without books. Obviously, the provoke, your chance is going to be a lot lower. Obviously, if you depending on the skills, masteries you go for him, I'll get there in the end. I really will. Depending on the masteries you use on this guy, you know, you can book this up to 55, not book it, but, you know, use your mastery to put it up to 55, or you can get it up to 80 if you really, really want that provoke, right? With the books. He also places a 50% decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns if Iron Brago is under an increased defense buff. So that's easy enough. Either somebody else on your team, there's plenty of champions out there that put increased defense up. You want a nice, easy, accessible one, Doomscreech. You know, he's the rare version of Seeker, only I think he's a Void. Looks like Seeker, does almost exactly the same thing, but rather than being an attack-based champion who does damage on attack, he's defense, and he puts increased defense up and still does the turn meter boost. Really cool champion, actually, well worth looking at. I don't use him so much anymore just because I've outgrown him. I've got other champions that do similar stuff and all the rest of it while being better in other areas. So, but for a while there, absolutely brilliant champion, used him. And if you want somebody easily and accessible that can do this for you, and don't forget, his A2 puts that increased defense across the whole team anyway. So if you lead off with that, you nuke somebody with a single shot, and then you come in with this ability. This AoE hits big. The animation is gorgeous. You're going to see it in a minute anyway. Absolutely amazing move. Cannot stress this enough. This guy is a beast. Right, bestows strength. His passive increases the defense of all allies by 10% of this champion's defense. 10% of his defense goes to everybody. That is huge. Now, if it seems like I'm excited and a lot more excited than usual, no, I've not been in the Java, and in fact, I've not even had a coffee yet this morning. It's just that this guy is that good. He really is. He's amazing. I've been playing this game for coming up on a year now. My first Fusion champion I got was actually the St. Patrick's Day one, but I started playing a bit before that. But I missed out on the Valentine's Fusion just. That was probably around the time I started playing, but obviously I was still learning the game right at the start of that sort of point. So it's actually been about a year since I started playing this game. Still a great game, and in all that time, only a couple of the fusion champions I feel are actually really decent in an entire year. You know, Kantra, she's pretty solid. Admittedly, I still don't use her in a lot of places, if anywhere. So, although she's solid, and going to be more solid for people depending on the account they've got and the champions they've got, still a solid champion. I know there's at least one other, but right now they're completely flying by me and I can't think who. But for the most part, they've all been a bit underwhelming. They've all needed a buff. You've got champions like Pixnil that, you know, took a lot of work, a lot of effort, and although they look really cool, were a complete letdown. This guy is not. He is amazing. He's brilliant, and you know, I can't stress enough that this is the way Plarium need to go more often. You know, if you're going to put the effort, the time, the resources into doing a fusion champion, and to be fair, let's face it, for a lot of free-to-play players, that's their main source of legendaries. They need to be decent. They need to be good in the game. They need to have a place in the game. And unfortunately, for the past year, almost all of them, bar a couple, have not. And they really need buffs, quite frankly. I mean, they did buff... was it the other orc chap? I can't remember his name all of a sudden. One who looks a bit like that chap out of the Warcraft film. His name's completely gone out of my head. You know, he got a bit of a buff, but it wasn't really so much of a buff as they fixed issues they created in creating him in the first place. But even so, he's still very niche, very only usable in certain circumstances, so I wouldn't still call him a great champion. Anyway, let's crack on. So 10% of this champion's defense, you build him out with a chunk of defense, and all your champions are going to get 10% of that. You know, it's not going to be masses. I mean, if you've got him at 4k defense, the rest of your champions get an extra 400. Still, 400 defense is a chunk. It is a nice chunk, and it's going to sometimes make the difference, you know. His aura increases allied defense in Doom Tower battles by 34%. Again, that's big. It's going to help you get through content in the Doom Tower if you're struggling. So, really, really good. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to his artifacts. We're going to start with the stats. So, I've got this guy at 31.7k health. I've not built him for attack. He's got a little extra attack, but attack does nothing for this guy, so you don't worry about that. I've got him up to 5k defense, which is a good solid thing. So you think on all my champions, they're all going to get an extra 500 defense just from him being on the team. That's great. 171 speed. I would like this to be higher. I'm still fiddling with his gear, and it's just getting the right gear on him and stuff, but it's also, I was building him more to do damage, and getting him to the point where I could get him to do damage meant without stripping gear off of other champions that I use on a daily basis, and I didn't want to do because I want to be able to use him regularly as well, just meant that I couldn't quite get there. So we've got 171 speed. It's not terrible. As a follow-up nuke, it'll do, and it certainly suffices in dungeons for me. We got him up to 93% crit rate. Again, I would like this up to 100, but I couldn't quite get there. 208 critical damage. That was the difference. I could get 100% crit rate, but then the crit damage would drop down a lot, like maybe even 60 to 100. So you're talking a hell of a difference there. 161 debuff resistance. I've not gone out my way to build resistance on this guy, it's just what he's naturally accumulated. And 232 debuff accuracy. Now obviously, if you want him doing landing his provoke and his stuns, you do need accuracy on this guy. If you're doing normal Doom Tower, you actually really need to kind of be above 250, which I haven't quite got this guy to yet. So I do need to build up a bit higher, try and swap out some pieces and increase accuracy without losing too much in the other stats. If you're doing hard Doom Tower, obviously you're talking you need 350 plus, so you know, really hard, really high stats. There's actually an event on. I've actually got him in a defense banner, to be fair, but with NAF substat rolls. So if I can, I don't have any accuracy pieces for him. Is actually the reason for this. Once I get an accuracy banner that I can roll up with some decent defense substats, I will probably swap that out, and that will boost his accuracy, and he'll lose a little bit of defense but not too much, and that's the way I'll go there. So yeah, we've got 5-star across the board. Yes, a lot of it is legendary, I know. However, I use this guy absolutely everywhere, and I wanted to build him so that I could really enjoy him. But it is all 5-star. There's no 6-star pieces here. Yes, it is nearly all rolled up because it's all 5-star. Like I say, he is a great champion, so he's well worth throwing really good gear at, and that's what I've done here. So we've got defense banner with some speed, NAF sub rolls. We're not even going to look at that. They give him some HP, which gives him some sustainability other than his defense, but obviously I would have preferred defense. He does damage, so I've gone for a crit damage amulet with some defense and accuracy rolls in it, which obviously we like. We've gone for a defense ring with defense sub rolls. That's actually a pretty solid piece, even though it's only a rare. We've then gone for defense boots as opposed to speed boots to again boost up that defense. This is actually the reason his speed is so low. Obviously, if I had him in speed boots, he'd probably be over 100. Sorry, over 100, over 200 speed. But I would lose so much defense that I don't think it's worth it. So what I did was I put the defense boots on him. Oh, I do apologise. I said he's in full-on 5-star gear. These are actually 6-star boots. I hadn't actually noticed that. I do apologise. I'm not going to mess on and take him out. I don't think I've got anything to swap him into anyway, unless I swap him into speed boots. As you all know, if I do have a 6-star piece in, I will usually try and leave a couple of pieces unrolled to sort of balance it out a bit better. But I think it'd just be too much work here. We're on the video, we're doing the video now anyway, so I do apologise. Obviously it is showing him slightly better than if he was in a 5-star. It's not a huge difference. You're talking an extra 10% defense, which, like I say, if I'd got a decent sub roll on defense or something like that, I mean, I've got a double roll in attack here, so 2 of my sub rolls are actually completely wasted. The only decent sub roll on this bit of gear is actually the speed. The attack means absolutely nothing to him. So, you know, you could argue that actually another pair of boots, if I had them, would be better anyway, even at a lower star rate. So, yeah, we've gone for defense boots. We've tried to build in speed everywhere else we can, obviously. The perception set gives you 5 speed per set, so that's an extra 10 for the 4 pieces. We've got some speed on the banner. Now with this champion, due to the fact that he is damage based and I wanted to get as much damage out of him as possible, we have gone for crit damage gloves. Lovely pair of gloves these, I have to say, one of the best on my account I think. Crit damage gloves with a double rolling crit rate. The double rolling resistance, not so great, you know, I definitely would have preferred getting either the defense or the speed there, especially for this champion. Obviously on another champion that needs resistance that might have been great, but for this guy the resistance is kind of wasted. So again, we've got 2 wasted substat rolls there, unfortunately. But you know how it is, you go with the best you've got and hope for the best, really. Again, we've gone for defense, speed, crit rate, crit damage. I've tried to make sure each piece has a bit of speed, a bit of crit damage. We've definitely concentrated on getting crit rate in there, because obviously with the crit damage gloves you need a lot of substat rolls in crit rate to try and get his crit up to 100%. Obviously we didn't quite make it. If I can get some pieces with some slightly better rolls at a later date, something like this, whereby rather than a double defense roll I would lose a bit of defense there in favour of getting another roll in crit rate to bump him up over 100. We've got again crit rate, resistance roll. Again, we don't want resistance, but you know, I did glyph it out anyway, and I've built some resistance into him because it can help in places. But again, you know, we've got speed roll, crit rate roll, double crit, double speed. This is actually a lovely helmet. You can't get a hell of a lot better than that, to be fair. 6-star obviously would have been better, but you get a double crit rate and a double speed roll. That's going to be beautiful on a champion like this. So, like I say, it is some of the better gear on my account. Not the best. That's still on some of my other champions that I have actually got just over 100% crit rate and over 200 crit damage. And they're in, say, 6-star gear more. But for the purposes of this video, I purposely rolled up gear for him at this level, and at a later date I will see if I can get better gear to put on him, obviously, because I think he's worth it, basically. I do use him in a lot of places. He's on my Doom Tower farming team to get through the stages. I was just running initially a couple of champs, then I brought him in for the extra sustain. I swap him into the arena fairly often. I think he's brilliant fun in the arena. So that's his gear. Similar motif, you know. I've built this guy. He does take a lot of stats. So his masteries, we are going to jump there, and we are going to move me out of the way, and we'll try and remember to move me back, so we don't have to refilm this video or some such like that. We've gone down the offense tree for very obvious reasons. We want this guy doing damage, so we've got crit rate, crit damage, more damage at full health. We've gone for Life Drinker to get back some health when he's below 50% and dealing damage. Increases damage inflicted targets with less than 40% HP by more. Increases damage inflicted by 6% when attacking targets with higher max HP. You build him for high defense, not necessarily high max HP, so, and certainly when he's attacking bosses that means he's going to do more damage. And then we've come down into Helm Smasher to get that ignored defense on him. Has a 50% chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense for skills that ignore defense. This 25 is an addition. If I had the gear and I had the stats, I'd quite happily build him out in Savage. He's well worth it. You could easily argue going down the support tree for accuracy, because he does need his accuracy, and it certainly wouldn't be a bad idea or a bad build. I mean, as with all these guides, this is my way I've built him, and even I could change that up and do different things. Look at where you use him, how you use him, what you've got him geared in, what stats you need. You know, if you're still really low on that accuracy and you need more accuracy, then you're definitely better off going down the support tree than you are the defense tree. But with him being a defensive champion, I wanted to try and increase that even more, so we've gone for extra defense. It's only 75, but it helps. Mitigating damage, reduce damage champion receives. Harvest Despair, this one's a good one for him. Has a 60% chance of placing a leech debuff for 1 turn when placing a stun, sleep fear, true fear, all that stuff. But he does place a stun, so this is a good one for him. Puts that leech out there, means that your team can heal up off of it. That's great. And then I've gone for both the counter attack masteries on him. Has a 50% chance to counter attack when this champion loses 25% of their max HP. Obviously that means that if he does lose a big chunk of HP, he can come back, he can hit him hard, and that's great. Then also the same here, 20% chance of counter attack when the enemy apply a stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze. If you're using him in the well, anywhere really, you're occasionally going to come up against that, so it's going to come in handy. If you're using him in the arena, you're going to come up against that a lot, so you know, it's still useful. That's how we've gone with his masteries and all that. Let's move on to the content. We're actually going to start for once with my favourite place to use this guy, which is the arena. Now, anybody who's seen what I usually use in the arena will know that I usually run a very different team to this. And I've got like Warlord and Hegemon, and I basically run a lockout team. I had to mix it up the other day and use all affinities, so I had somebody else in place of Valkyrie here, and that was an all affinity team, and I absolutely loved using this, so I've sort of carried on just a bit for fun. This looks like it could be a bot team, so we're not going to go against that. Here we go, something a bit more real, a bit more similar, also very defense based. so you'll be able to see the sort of thing we can do. I love Abyss, I think she's a brilliant nuker. And B, she also brings the decreased defense, so you know, she basically nukes and is a debuffer, so that's great. But of course we're showing off Iron Brago here, and you will see this guy slams, like really slams. Speed boost. We'll get these shields up. They're getting their shields up. But look at this. Valkyrie's shield disappears with one hit from him. Now this is probably going to hurt Abyss, and I wouldn't normally do this with a counter attack up, but we've got a good solid shield out there. My Valkyrie seems to be a bit stronger, and they don't really have champions that are going to do the same sort of damage I can do. Right, so let's take out Valkyrie, because to be fair, she's the most annoying one here. 60k. 60k off that AT. You see that? 60k. That is amazing. I mean, I know so many other content creators out there are hitting much bigger numbers than these, but then these guys are running 6-star everything on their champions with much better substats than what I've got. You know, they pile money into it, farm overnight every night. I don't have the money to buy the energy. I can't do that, so even just getting good gear can sometimes be a struggle. And yes, this guy is in some really good gear, but as you saw, other than the boots, it is all 5-star gear, not 6-star, and that's the sort of hit you can get with this guy. This is why I love him. And you place him in a team like this. Alright, we've got 2 attack based champions, but these 2 attack based champions are going to stay up more because they've got more defense. Valkyrie's going to hit harder because she's getting increased defense from him. She's even going to hit harder because she's getting the increased defense from his passive. A built-in increased defense. So she's going to hit harder. She's going to be harder to take down. When we get to show you his other hit, probably not on this one. So we'll do one more quickly. There we go. There's a team that a lot of people would run scared from. We've got Sifi, we've got Rotos, 2 revivers in the team. Now I must admit, usually I would not go with a defense based team for this. And in fact, because of the double reviver, we are going to swap it up a little bit. And we want to make sure we're going to go first. So in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take Abyss out, we're going to use Iron Brago as our nuker, and we're going to go for my standard team, which is a good counter to teams like this where you've got 2 revivers. Hegemon goes first and locks out nearly the whole team with either stuns or locking down their abilities. We get our speed boost out there. Now 2 champions have their abilities back already, yep. That's why I love using Warlord on this team. Bang, everybody's cooldowns have increased. We bring out the big guns. We are going to take out Arbiter with this. 48k, not quite as big a hit as we had last time, but then we don't have any sort of decreased defense on this team or anything like that. Still completely nuked her out, and we've now got increased defense on our entire team. Rotos can be a bit dangerous, so let's try and take him down. Now the great thing about this team, because I've got the lockout, so long as I do it relatively quickly, which we will, it means that the revivers can't revive, and that's why I like this team when I'm against a team like this. because the fact that they've got a double reviver doesn't matter so much. We've got a provoke up there. Nuke down Razin, again another defensive champion. I don't know how the hell people get Sifi so tanky, but they really do. I always find her really hard to yeah, I don't know what happened there with my camera. And as you can see, I actually forgot to move myself back over here anyway. Do apologise for that. You might not have been seeing me clicking the abilities, but we're not going to start again overall. So I'm back where I belong, over here on the left. So yeah, Sifi, I don't know how the hell people get so strong. I've not really looked at her because I don't have her. But you saw that here, look at that. Without a shield up or anything, he just took down masses of her thing. I do not know what is going on with my camera here. Yeah, it keeps dropping out for some reason. To be fair, the fact I'm getting that weird cat symbol, which I don't think comes up as part of the program I'm using, I think it's actually something to do with Streamlabs that I'm using to actually put this together. I think it's an issue with them rather than my camera. Well, it could be the signal dropping out, but I don't see why. We do want to show him in some other place. I don't want this being too long a video, but you've seen how powerful he is, how amazing he is. Where else is he usable? Well, Faction Wars, obviously he's a beast. Doom Tower, again, very useful. I mean, Spider's Den, he'll bring some defense, he can do some damage to the spider, but he's not overly usable there, I feel. Ice Golem's Peak, he is the right affinity and he will help you out. As you can see, he's actually in my Ice Golem team. I'm going to take out Vogoth. I can't actually remember who I was using in here, to be fair. Somebody like Miscreated Monster. Again, very good for this. Good support. HP based champion, the same as Warlord, so he's not going to benefit massively from the defense. Not going to do more damage for it or anything. None of the other champions here are. You look at this team, we're getting stuns galore. Okay, we've got 3 legendaries in here, which is one of the reasons why I decided not to bring another one. Part of the reason I've done this though is, you know, I can do weaker teams that aren't legendary, but the problem is they take longer and I don't want a 6-minute video run for the video. And to be fair, let's face it, when I'm playing myself, I bring the champions I feel better for it. I wouldn't even normally use Miscreated Monster here. I'd use Warlord because he's a better champion, quite frankly, for this, for me. But I'm bringing Miscreated to show that you can use weaker champions quite happily and they'll still do the job well. Looks like we lost Iron Brago there. That's alright, Arbiter will pick him back up in a minute. Didn't even see it happen, I was so busy looking over at Miscreated. This is where I'd prefer Warlord because, you know, he can then put on a shield and heal Iron Brago up. I like using Xavier here for a block revive. It doesn't go off that often, but when it does, obviously it means one of these side guards isn't getting up. See, she'll use it at the wrong time there. Obviously, if I was manualing it, I'd wait till about this point and then I'd use that, so that they're not coming up again. But you see these big hits he's doing, and they've all got extra defense, so the rest of them are keeping up quite happily. Look at this A1, 85k on the A1. 85k on the A1. Alright, he's got decreased defense and was weakening out? No, just decreased defense. You know, that's huge. That is massive. Okay, so we're going to skip to the end of this fight and show you what the result is. Obviously, this is a slightly longer fight, but you get the gist. Again, 87k, 87k. This guy hits like a truck. And although he did go down, that was more because of the damage he's dealing on the reflect. That's why people don't like those mobs. But now at this point he's been healed up, we're back to full strength, and he's not in any danger at all. Arbiter's the one with the most to lose here. $151k on the A2 on the boss. Okay, so I know we've only shown the one dungeon, but we're actually going to leave it with that. I don't want to make this video run too long. Now let's take a quick look at the damage. So obviously Xavier is massive, she does the poison damage, she's a huge nuker in situations like this. Came in at 2 million. Iron Brago, with at least 2 of his abilities being single target, whereas she's more AoE based, and that's one of the reasons that damage is so much higher. Didn't come in that much lower than her, at about 300,000 to 400,000 behind her, but still 1.7 million damage. Absolutely huge. You cannot knock this guy, he is amazing. Spiders, it can help you for some defense, he can be a tank for you on the right affinities, but he's not going to bring a lot else there with his single target damage. I mean, you know, you can do some damage to the main spider, but he's not going to be able to CC all the spiders or anything like that, so he's not going to bring any extra utility there. It doesn't have any turn meter drops or anything like that unless you build it into his kit with your Masteries, so he's not going to be a big player for the spider, I feel. But if you're lacking some support and steady damage there, he can certainly do it, but he's not the best for it. Ice Golem, as you can see, he's a beast for it, absolutely brilliant. The only thing you got to worry about is trying to keep those that second wave under control so he doesn't nuke himself to death as he did on that run. Fire Knight, if I recall, he is the wrong affinity, I think. It might be the right affinity actually. Yeah, I think he's actually strong there, but he's only got single hitters, he doesn't have any double hitters. So again, if you're okay with the fact that he's a single hit, when you've got enough other people doing the hits and reducing turn meter and all the things you need doing there, he could help you, but he's not going to be big there. He's not going to be somebody I would say bring to those dungeons. The same with Spider, you know, he just doesn't bring the utility you need in those two places where turn meter control and multi hits are more important. But for the arena, for Ice Golem, you could even use him in the Dragon. I know he's negative affinity, but he's so strong, he's still going to boost your team with the increased defense, with his passive, helping keep all your team alive, and he's still going to hit really hard when he does land those hits, good solid hits. He's just got more chance of getting weak hits there. And obviously he'll be targeted and be a bit of a tank for you there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and he's tanky enough to take it. So, you know, he'll do well for you in the Dragon and the Ice Golem, as you saw. Amazing in the arena, amazing in faction wars. He is great for the Doom Tower, quite frankly. Yeah, all around one of my favourite champions in the game at the moment. I think he is very cool, very powerful, very strong. I love watching this guy work. Joining us after the fusion, and you pull this guy, congratulations, he's a great champion. If you did the fusion, congratulations. Again, he is an amazing champion. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I've covered everything here for you. If I haven't, let me know and I'll either try and help you out in the comments, or I might look at updating this video at a later time if you really feel that there's stuff that needs saying that I didn't say. Anyway, again, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.